to come in to what? To change it back to what? To the natural process. Miracles are unusual, out of the ordinary, occurrences that can only be attributed to the supernatural work of God, demonstrating his involvement in people's life. Miracles are the essential parts of the Christian faith, which show God's power and love. In this lesson, we will explore examples of miracles in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, distinguishing it from the genuine and the fake miracles, and reinforcing our beliefs in what? A miracle. And if you remember in the introduction, I told you about the essence of our discussion of our topic this morning is premised on what? Divine. So there are miracles, there are fake miracles, there are miracles everywhere. But we're looking at divine miracles. So quickly, this morning we have two outlines. We have looked at when we look at the passage we read this morning, we saw where God said they will cast out demons, that they will speak in new tongues, that they will take up serpent. When they take up serpent, it will not hurt them. When they drink deadly things, it will still not what? It will not harm them. That they will lay hands on the sick and the sick will recover. These are all signs that Christ said we follow them. This Christ will follow believers, those who believe in him. So the first outline here talks about miracles in the Bible. So there are several miracles in the Bible. So one of the greatest miracles is God's creation of the world and everything in it, as recorded in Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 31. And so you can see the account there, considering the workings of the brain, how God put all of these together. So they have never been put together by any other power, or any other authority, or any other deities before. So God arranged all of this, the brain working now, looking at the respiratory system, the digestive system, the creations called man, is completely a miracle that is wrought by what? Only God. Only God. We have replicas, but only God has. And after God has created, then man begins to mimic that which he has put together. So he has the sole patents. That's the first part here. It tells you about the Red Sea. So we saw Moses. He performed several miracles in the Old Testament. Crossing the Red Sea, parting the Red Sea giving way. And we saw in the New Testament how Jesus Christ walked on water. And so we see the progression. Moses gave the picture, gave, the image of what is to come ahead. And so he parted the Red Sea, a great miracle, and people walked. That at his word, the sea can obey because what? He believed in the source of power, which is the Almighty God. And so he was able to command nations to give way, and nations responded because he wasn't the one speaking, even though he was the instrument, but God was working through him and him to bring all of this into manifestation. So we saw again the provision of manners and quays for the Israelites while they were on this journey. God provided for them for the numbers of days that they were, on their trip. God made provision for them. They never lacked one day. Everything that was required, needed, was provided by the one who has begun the journey with them. And that's why I know too very well that God has also begun this day with us. And he already has made provision for every second of the day for all. The men and women that will respond to our need, God already has minister to them. On their own account, they will begin to what? To align with the desire of God for your life and for my life. So we saw water from the rock. How God, I want us to look at this passage, Numbers chapter 20. Numbers 20, verse 2. Numbers 20, verse 2. So we saw there, and there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. And you know that these people, this is their usual way, and it's also happening today. As soon as men see challenges, they will turn their eyes their way. But that's the time to do what? To actually go before God. And so Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly. So you see the problem. There was a problem. The people are already complaining. What do we do? Where do we go to? Now we don't have water. So instead of Moses to align themselves with this same complaint, man, he went away. To where? To the place where he can discuss with the source of water, the source of life. And he went. The Bible said in verse 6, and Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell on their faces. And the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the rod, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear ye,